Ready?
Okay.
Okay, there we go.
Oh, that.
Good evening. Welcome to the Tuesday, October 2 City Council meeting. Got a great looking crowd tonight. I want to especially welcome Boy Scout troop that's here. We met beforehand and they gave me the business, so they're going to stay and see how we get it done here in the city. So welcome to you guys and pack leaders. Clerk, I would ask you to read the roll, please.
Councilmember Sale.
Here.
Starr.
Here.
Staley.
Here.
Brecky.
Here.
Erickson. Kiley.
Here.
Neitzert.
Here.
Selberg.
Here.
All right. It's my honor tonight to introduce Mr. Jerry Fogg. Jerry is with the Yankton Sioux tribe, and with our meetings, we start them with some sort of invocation or greeting, and Jerry has a special ceremony that he's going to do, and he'll tell us about it a little bit, and then we'll. I don't know if we rise for this, Jerry, or if we stay seated and then we rise for the pledge, or
For the prayer.
okay, for the prayer. So, Jerry, we will turn it over to you. Thank you for being here.
Mayor, Council, Yoshpe, our traditions in the land that we lived in, one of our most important things that we did was offer. We offered this, we offered that. And when we visited, we offered tobacco. We offered it to the 6 sacred directions. We always start to the west, to the color black. We offer it because it brings forth the life-giving rains to our people. And we turn to the north, to the color of red, to where we offer the pipestone, the blood of our people. And then we offer tobacco to the east, where the sun rises of the color yellow, which brings and sustains life. Then we offer to the south, the color white, the shka color of our spiritual relations that have passed, and we carry on for it. And of course, we offer tobacco to Father Sky, Takashima, and Mother Earth that we live upon. And in doing so, we carry on with our honoring to where we burn sage and we smudge. We use smudging of sage for many purposes: weddings, graduations, funerals, many, many things. Today, we burn sage, an offer of truth and ability to stand and state yourself with honesty and truthfulness and get an answer to your wishes that are honest and true. Together we do this among ourselves, among our people, among all of us together as a Tioshpe. A lot of these practices, they're very, very lengthy, so I'm just giving you an abridged one because they could go on all night as far as what we used to do long many years ago. So in conclusion, I would like you to stand, please, as we give prayer. Emie tokashila mateke ionoshke hiataha. Tokalia wakantanka o mashkete hisheheche. Shonwato klawa koki pape hoyospe chula. You ekek nanking te lo do tokashila. Wakantanka no pete hishe wakantanka. Made te mikado. Hoya ete yeo miato oyate hishke. Ho. Amen. I'm very honored for you allowing me to do this. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, Jerry, thanks again for that neat ceremony. I'm now going to turn it over to Councilor Kiley, and we have a chance to have our superhero awards for this month.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Well, let me tell you a little bit about Chariots for Children. Chariots for Children is a volunteer-led 501c3 organization founded in November 2015 by Tim Ingalls and Tom Broadbent to provide bikes, scooters, wagons, and walking aids to serve children who are low-income, distressed, or underprivileged. For most kids, there comes an age when not knowing how to ride a bike becomes socially unacceptable. But bikes, no matter what their speed, are often too expensive and out of reach for many youths. The Chariots for Children program begins with over 100 volunteer families who gather to assemble the chariots, funded 100% by sponsorships from local businesses and private individuals, with every dollar utilized to purchase the chariots. In the past 3 years, Chariots for Children has donated over 400 chariots to underserved children through organizations such as Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Our community is truly a better place because of the superheroes at Chariots for Children. Now I'd like Tim and Tom just to say a few words for us.
Thank you very much. Everybody hear me? I think it's working. Thank you very much. We're honored to have this. We're privileged to have Jamie from Big Brothers Big Sisters nominate us. Truly, it's been a great partnership for us to have them by our side and to give us an opportunity to donate those bikes to those kids who need them.
I think you said it best.
And gentlemen, here's your award. Thank you very much for your service. Thank you. You know, very special because I can always remember one of my favorite Christmases was when Mom and Dad told me to go downstairs in the basement of our home, and there were 2 brand new Schwinn bicycles. So I, too, enjoy donating bikes every Christmas holiday so boys and girls can enjoy those. Jania, are you here tonight? Would you please come forward? Jania Luke Lanova. And let me tell you a little bit about Jania and what she has done here. Jania came to Sioux Falls in 2008 from Russia, where she dedicated 20-plus years to studying and teaching geology at the university level, where she rose from researcher to the deputy head of the faculty. After coming to Sioux Falls, she studied Reiki, which is a safe Japanese energy-based therapy that promotes deep relaxation and sense of well-being. It is based on the concept that we all have energy centers and pathways through and around us. Reiki specialists are adjusted to this energy so that the energy runs through their hands to the person receiving it. As a master practitioner, Jania approached Sanford Health in 2016 with the hopes of starting a Reiki volunteer program as a form of integrative medicine for patients. Since her initial proposal and pilot program, Sanford was able to train a group of 12 employees and volunteers to expand the program and is now expanding once again as interest continues to grow with patients. Jania is passionate about Reiki, which shows through her deep sense of thankfulness for the ability to come and share her training with patients. She is thankful for the opportunity to serve and for how wonderfully the staff and patients treat her. Her passion for volunteering is an excellent example and illustrates what it means to be a superhero. Everybody, let's give her a round of applause. Jania is shy and is walking away, but Jania, Sioux Falls is better off for having you as part of our community. Thank you for very much for everything you do. Would you like to pose for a picture? We coordinated that.
Send us some good energy for the meeting right now?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely.
All right. We'll take it. We'll take it.
Much. Thank you.
Thank you. Oops. All right, Councilor Kiley, thank you. Great way to start a meeting, as always, so appreciate that. We'll move on to the approval of our consent agenda, and I'd ask if there's any changes or motions to be made on this.
Move approval, Neisert.
Second, Kylie?
Move to approve Neitzer, seconded by Kiley. Any discussion? If not, a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Star? Yes. Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that's passed 7-0. We'll now move ahead to our regular agenda for the evening, and I'd look for a motion on that.
Move to approve?
Second.
Move to approve by Kiley, seconded by Sale. Is there any discussion on that? If not, a vote on that, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Star?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that is passed 7-0. We will now move on to public input for tonight's meeting. As a reminder, input during this portion will last no more than 30 minutes because public input for all regular agenda items will be taken. You're asked to limit your general public input to topics not appearing later on the agenda. For this portion and regular agenda items, speakers are limited to no more than 3 minutes unless additional time is granted by this council. At this time, you can certainly come forward, and please note that the time is 7:13 p.m. Welcome.
Good evening, everybody. My name's Heather Pastor. I want to start out by showing just a couple of slides here. If I'm doing this correct, am I doing this correct? That right there is Mark Samuel Graham, who is one of my old landlords. I got the court date set up for November 16th at 10:30 through the courts itself for my civil matter against him. Right now, he is wearing an ankle monitor. He has been in and out of jail for the same type of stuff he did to me. This right here. This was our 2003 Blazer that he had paid somebody to ruin on us, which costed me and my fiance over $1,900. You know, one of the things that I'm really starting to get stressed out about is the fact of the matter that there's a lot of people that are getting, like, people that are on parole, people that are not off parole, that are living in their own houses, people that get all the assistance and help and all the type of help that I don't get. And one of the stresses I'm having is me and James want to buy a place of our own. I want to have my own house so that I don't have to keep getting ridiculed everywhere I go, slandered everywhere I go, run out of places everywhere I go, or keep spending money for a motel because it's even the motel or I'm camping out in the car. Matter of fact, the vehicle we own right now was given to us when we were walking in the streets during the wintertime. I don't have nobody except for my fiance. And, you know, just 2 winters ago, I found out the devastating news that my auntie Debbie, that side of my family, I'm white Puerto Rican, okay? I'm a mixed breed, for starters. I know not too many people know that. But my auntie Debbie was in the same situation I'm in right now, and she got sick, and she ended up in the hospital, and she died from lung cancer. The season before that, I found out about my cousin, and that was all over Facebook. My mother's deceased because she got the same treatment I got from people. I don't want to keep living a life where everywhere I go, I get ridiculed and treated like dirt. And since I can't get a real attorney, I'm taking, like I said, my matters to the courts itself. But I want me and James to have a place of our own. And it's not easy when you're living on a fixed income and you got no one to give you a lending hand. It's just doors shut in my face. It's actually stressful. I'm getting nightmares at night. The landlord I have right now, I can't go in detail. I think she was in my place last night. And I found out some other people that had been attacked from people breaking in their places.
Thank you, Heather.
God bless you, God. You guys have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for public input this evening?
Hello, everyone. My name's Catherine Riffle. I've been here before. I'm not going to say excuse my attire because it's chilly out there and I'm working on the streets. I do want to say thank you for taking the advice and the ice rink in consideration for as a halfway house where they don't end up back on the streets when they get out of jail and rehab. But we still have the problem of the people on the streets yet. So I'm going to cut it real short tonight because I'm not feeling well myself. And I just want to say thank you for opening your hearts so that the people aren't bounced back on the streets. That makes it a little easier on me. I'm getting a little tired here, and I'm getting tearful again because I know what we're up against with the weather changing. So I'm just asking what you're going to do next and how are you going to get those people off the streets, where you're going to put them. You know, like if there's a place on the west side and you want to get a little van or something, make a couple trips, we can get them out there and get them in a building or something, but get them where there's heat. And, you know, once we get them in a building, then we can divvy them out into the areas that they need to go to get help. I mean, if I can do it on the streets all these years, why can't you all do it? You know? And just earn their trust. And they're good people out there. They're broken, but they're good. You know, they have reasons for things, and I don't want to see anybody die on the streets this winter because I don't want to hold you all accountable. They're your people too. Anyway, thank you for doing good for the people. And I forgot, I do have one thing. The Lutheran Church changing the Union Gospel Mission, putting people out on the streets doesn't help because now we got 80 to 100 more people on the streets, minus 2 meals Saturdays and Sundays. So that's not a help. Okay. Can't blame the victims, you know. Anyway, I want to trust the churches too, but I'm having trouble there. Anyway, thank you. Have a good night. I just hope next time we'll find something positive to lift my spirits even. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Good evening.
Hello again. I am Stephen Ciano, disabled veteran since '78, wrongly denied acknowledgement of that fact. Until recently, it looks like I finally got people in the VA willing to help me. I had sought help from city personnel who didn't provide the help that I needed, as I've explained in more detail previously in front of this council, the former bunch too, as well as in letters, which I have said that I want put on a public record. Everyone is entitled to see what anyone has presented to you people. I think that these meetings should be published, transcribed in full, including all the public input. I've had my public input misrepresented. The points that I made, like last time I came here, was about entitlement. As a disabled person, I was entitled to acknowledgement and benefits and services in accordance with that. Can we get this? Can we get this to, okay. There we have what entitlement is. I feel that the public is entitled to know what is going on behind closed doors. All the letters from me, from other people, I do much better rather than my struggling here for 3 or 5 minutes. Sometimes you've seen me struggle to breathe. I'm doing a bit better now, and to stand. I do have physical as well as emotional and social problems, which are the nature of my disability. And Falls Community Health, I have been told, consequent of last time I spoke, that I don't have to worry. They will treat me. They will continue to treat me. However, as I indicated when I first came here, they did not seek records which could be helpful in their appropriate seeking from the VA payment for my care outside of the VA, because people in the VA have been hostile. And that's a matter of discrimination, which I have sought help from your Human Relations Office about, and I've been shut down there also. So on 2 particular fronts in the city. And the third arm of that is there was apparently a conspiracy, which may be routine, with First Premier Bank to falsely cite the appropriateness of a fiduciary to be appointed and send money to such. Thank you.
Thank you,
I think
Stephen.
I'm out of time.
Yes, you are. Thank you. Anyone else for public input? Good evening.
Tim Stanga. I just want to hit a little bit on low-income housing. I get around and I talk to a lot of the elderly people, and they express a lot about, well, their Social Security checks don't go as far as they used to. But every time that we raise property taxes or we raise school rates, $10 to a person that's being on a fixed income is more than what people think. I always tell people that it could be $1,000. People think $1,000 is a good, good place for a rent, or $1,500 is good. I haven't figured out what the income rate, to be able to afford housing. Are we ever going to get to affordable housing? Never. Unless the government really comes out and subsidizes everything. If the government comes out and builds a building, they charge rent, $500 a month, $400 a month, they're paying themselves back. So that way, the American people are getting their money back and they're not subsidizing rent. That's the only way you're going to get to low income, get to affordable housing. I always tell people that in the winter months, use as less water as you can, because your sewer rates are based off from your winter water. So people, if you're washing 3 loads of clothes a week, go down to 2, because it reflects your sewer bill. You can save some money during the summer on your sewer bill. So when it comes to October, November, December, January, February, use less water, your sewer bill will be going down.
Thank you, Tim.
Sioux Falls, so I'm going to make this public. This is not a threat, it's a promise. I want my number unblocked from the city website. If not, I will be filing civil litigation with the ACLU. I have plenty of evidence from the police department to the city. I'm in a problematic neighborhood, had to get water for a house. Could not do it because my number was blocked. Talked to the mayor behind closed doors. I want this unblocked. I have sent numerous of messages saying that I will sue the city, and you better guarantee I will. Okay? I don't care how much money the city has. We need to unblock it. It can be done, and it can be done by the Tenhaken administration. So you call the water company, and this is what you get also on the cell phone.
Your call is being forwarded to a short-held voicemail system. It's out of the office.
So we're looking at a 1983 act on that, and plus multiple other things. I sit here day after day after day threatening to sue the city, but I bet you when I file that lawsuit, things are going to straighten up, will they? High crime and high crime neighborhoods, the narcotics unit that they put out here, it's a joke. I was in a high crime area and could pin out the detectives that were working the case that the chief of police put out on the narcotics unit. Went on Central Side on Sunday, got threatened to get a gun put on me. There was fights galore out there. Got the sergeant involved and the officers and said, what in the world happened to this neighborhood? They said that we dropped the ball for 6 weeks. We haven't been in this neighborhood for 6 weeks. You cannot drop the ball in a high crime area neighborhood. Again, I don't care who likes it and who doesn't like it. When it comes up to get the chief of police out of here, it does not include the mayor or council for next year. It includes the citizens. We have businesses, we have owners that are in high crime areas that have complained, and motels and hotels that I was at for 8 months looking at the crime. To get the police involved, the structure of that organization has to come up to par. I don't care if it's a new chief of police, something has to give. I'm out there 5 days a week. I know that police department like the back of my hand.
Anyone else for public input this evening? If not, next item, clerk.
Item 25 is a new 2018 retail wine license for Daily Cafe and Coffee LLC, Daily Clean Food and Drink, 6215 Southwestern Avenue, with conditional use permit 9042-2018 being approved on September 5th, 2018, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 26 is a new 2018-19 retail malt beverage license for Daily Cafe and Coffee LLC, Daily Clean Food and Drink, 6215 Southwestern Avenue, with conditional use permit 9042-2018 being approved on September 5th, 2018, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 27 is a new 2018-19 retail malt beverage license for SRS Incorporated, Connection South, 6801 South Louise Avenue, with conditional use permit 9099-2018 being approved on September 5th, 2018, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 28 is a request to include video lottery terminals with the new 2018-19 retail malt beverage license for SRS Incorporated, Connection South, 6801 South Louise Avenue, with conditional use permit 9099-2018 being approved on September 5th, 2018, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 29 is a transfer of a 2018 retail liquor license from Ted J. Toms, 400 North Main Avenue, Suite 201, to Kelly Inns Ltd., Hotel Phillips, 100 North Phillips Avenue, CUP not required, pending final inspections per Fire, Health, and Building Services. Item 30 is a transfer of a 2018 package liquor license from Double B LLC, Food and Fuel, 4701 West 12th Street, to Arisa Incorporated, Food and Fuel, 4701 West 12th Street. Item 31 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Catering America to be operated at Raven Industries, 205 East 6th Street, for a social on October 3rd, 2018. Item 32 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for the Canton Barn LLC to be operated at Ellie Stone Bride, 6205 South Old Village Place, for a grand opening on October 3rd, 2018. Item 33 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Icon Entertainment LLC to be operated at Sioux Falls State Theater Company, 316 South Phillips Avenue, for a fundraiser on October 4th, 2018. Item 34 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Muscular Dystrophy Association to be operated at the Old Courthouse Museum, 200 West 6th Street, for a fundraiser on October 12th, 2018. Item 35 is a special one-day malt beverage and special one-day wine licenses for Catering America to be operated at Sanford Imaginetics, 1321 West 22nd Street for a social on October 24th, 2018.
Welcome, Jamie.
Good evening, Jamie Palmer with licensing. I don't have any new information to add other than what Tamara has already read, other than security management plans were submitted and approved by the police department, and several of the applicants are here tonight if you have any questions for them.
Okay, is there anyone from the public who wishes to speak on any of these items? Okay, counselors, questions for Jamie on any of these? Okay. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
Move approval. Second.
Move to approve, Selberg, seconded by Sale. Any discussion, council? If not, I'd ask for a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That is passed 7-0. Next item, please.
Item 36 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, amending the 2008 subdivision regulations of the City of Sioux Falls by amending Chapter 157 subdivisions. The Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0.
Welcome, Sam.
Sam Trebelcock, City of Sioux Falls Planning Office. Thank you. This is the second reading of the subdivision ordinance. We had some standards that we updated. Certainly want to take you through fairly quickly. We've discussed this on several occasions, but want to give, of course, you the opportunity to ask questions and for the citizens to do the same. Again, the subdivision ordinance, the purpose is to regulate the subdivision of land, coordinate streets, roads, utilities with other subdivisions, and to coordinate with zoning ordinance and engineering design standards. So the update process of this subdivision ordinance started back in April of 2017 with a kind of a kickoff meeting discussing that with council at that time. Since that time, we've had various public open houses, meetings with Infrastructure Review Advisory Board. We held and had a visual survey that we did that we provided out to the entire community for their comment. City Council informational meetings, Planning Commission meetings, and then as of recently, the Planning Commission recommended approval at their September meeting. Just to give you some generalities and some of the major changes that took place with this standards update, we added private street standards. There was not any, and at this current time, there's no standards for private streets at all in the current subdivision ordinance. We added some complete street standards that included neighborhood connectivity for ped and bike sidewalk connections between neighborhoods, new bike trail standards for dedicating trail easements to make it easier for future trail connections. We also added flagpole lot standards. We don't have any of those kind of standards currently. That happens from time to time. You want to make sure the pole is wide enough. It isn't a very narrow 1-foot pole or something like that that's difficult to provide access to. We also want to allow for online subdivision reviews. We also wanted to create consistency with state platting law. There were some changes we needed to make here and there to create some consistency there. Also, we wanted to move lot and block standards to earlier in the process. Instead of the developer's engineering plan, we moved it up into the preliminary plan. So, of course, the preliminary plan is typically what the you as council will see and approve, and so does Planning Commission. Also, Mayor, Planning Commission Chairman will no longer need to sign plats with this new standard. We talked about that a little bit at informational. Again, the reason for that is much of the process and needed is done at the preliminary plan. That's where the mayor and council are involved. The plat is a very specific tool and is allowed by state law for an administrative approval and is signed off on by the city engineer and by the planning department head. Changes since March. Now, we had some changes since the last time we brought it to Planning Commission. So we've had A few other changes since March. That included some transfer ownership plats was split from the minor plat. So platting fees need to be paid on the replat when required by the city platting ordinance. You might say, what's the difference between transfer of ownership plat and a minor plat? A transfer of ownership plat is typically a really big piece, a lot of times 40 acres, and it's transferring and coming into the city, and really there's no development occurring at that time. A minor plat's usually one or two smaller plats, and you just need to there's no need at that time for a preliminary plan to be completed. So they're really two different things. We wanted to split it apart and make sure that that was done separately. City engineers plat certificates, we added a couple of different certificates, inside, outside, and for road authority. And then we also just did some consistency, really some dotting I's, crossing T's sort of things, renaming the title from 2008 to the 2018 subdivision ordinance, things like that, that really were important, but still fairly minor. With that, I would take any of your questions.
Questions, Councilor Neitzer.
Could you go back to the screen where you had the review of the, I think, major changes? Yeah. So I did read through this, and it's lengthy and it's technical, so just maybe if you could expand. So the neighborhood connectivity with pedestrian, bike, sidewalk connection, can you, what would that look like? I'm trying to envision.
So hopefully I can go into the complete streets. I do have a slide that from other presentations. So bike and ped connections, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So connections to schools, parks, bike trails, non-residential office, commercial areas, and other community facilities must be provided for blocks over 1,320 feet. So when you get, that's a quarter mile.
Quarter mile. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So in that case, we really want to see some connections. Most of the time you're going to see a street connection, but in some cases it's not possible to put in a street. So in that case, and we talked to the developers and home builders about it, and that seemed to be a reasonable spot in places where you couldn't put a road, that you could put some kind of pedestrian bicycle connection.
Okay, now is that an easement and the private property owners?
It would most likely be an easement. It could also be potentially right away, but typically in most situations I would think it would be an easement.
So who bears the cost? So if I live on this adjacent property, do I have to maintain and replace that and shovel it?
Well, it would be similar to a sidewalk, but in this case it's an easement. So most likely what we'd probably try to do is put it on one person's property rather than split it amongst the two. Maintenance would be difficult there, but yeah.
But you'd have to know going in that that's your responsibility. So yes. I'm saying, like, if it's broken up, you would have to repave it?
Correct. It'd be kind of like being on a corner lot, except not having a street next to you, yeah.
Gotcha, okay. And then if you could go back the other, new bike trails, dedicated trail easement, would that be an example, like I'm gonna do a subdivision and you know kind of long range, you're thinking you're gonna do a bike trail there, so you wanna get it dedicated? Because for example, on the west side, we're having to acquire all kinds of right-of-way and easements to do the west side north spur, and so this would hopefully get that on the front end, so you're not having to negotiate all these different easements with property owners later?
In a lot of cases, you're going to see this, like the area that you're talking about, kind of that Cherry Creek corridor on the northwest part side. Mm-hmm. It's usually in a drainage way. A lot of times there's sanitary sewer easements, but we also want to make sure that people understand that's also the location, the area that we're going to be putting a bike trail to. Otherwise, people don't understand that. I think it's also important that you put something on the ground, but if you can at least put something like an easement, then you kind of start that process. Otherwise, you're going to have areas where you're not going to have bike trail, and it's going to be disjointed and lack continuity.
And so if I go to buy that home on the front end, I would know there's an easement in, let's say, the back 10 feet for a bike trail easement, and I know going in that someday there's going to be a bike trail there. Or could be, I guess, potentially.
Right. Typically, it's not going to be, on the homeowner's property. Typically, it would be in a drainage way property. So that's something, that they would want to look at too. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Before I take other questions, can I just ask, is there any public input? Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? All right.
Steven Ciano, prior to multiple spinal injuries and other ailments, I was an avid bicycle rider, gone cross country, I've toured. I used it for work and everything. Now I consider other possibilities such as hybrid vehicles, and I feel that accommodations should be made and it should be encouraged for hybrid vehicles, not just two-wheeled, but three- and four-wheeled as well. So I want to add that. Thank you.
Any other public input? Councilor Starr, you had a question.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Sam, if you would, please, just to, when we're looking at the fees as part of this, what was the process or what was the philosophy behind the fees? Will this cover, is it strictly a user fee that it takes this much staff time and we determined this was the right amount, or how did we get to the numbers that are, I think it's in 157,022?
Well, first of all, I don't know of any changes that we make. Which section are you talking about?
It's 157.022.
150.0.
It's just a subheading
so
with fees. And I guess
ones.
I was, kind of looking for the philosophy. If we're trying to collect what it costs the city to do this, are we doing a partial? How did we, or if these were just the fees that we've been charging, being this is an update? I think it's on.
We didn't make any changes in fees as part of this ordinance. So 157.022.
22.
Oh, 22. I just wanted to make sure.
I guess I'm trying to balance, is it enough? Is it too much? What are we trying to do philosophy-wise of trying to...
So just in general?
In general. I mean, are we trying to recoup that we have, if there's the development engineering plan is a $300 fee plus $10 for each lot. Did we think that covers staff time at a certain rate?
I don't think it even covers staff time for the review that occurs. What we're trying to do is recoup at least some of it. That would be what we generally see.
Okay, because that's where we all pay taxes for some of these services, and that we balance that, and I'm trying to say, is that enough to, can't imagine engineering time at $300 goes very far by the time we're done. So answers my question at least. So thank you.
Councilor Staley.
Two points. Sam, the first one, explain again for all of us what a flagpole lot is, and maybe you have a picture of it there.
Yeah, I think we do. If I can go to it.
We talked about it.
Yeah, there's a flagpole lot. So you can see where the pole is. Typically, the pole is going to be longer than that. But you'll see in some situations that somebody will subdivide a lot that kind of looks like this. In some situations lately, we've had the pole where it's very, very narrow, and you can't very easily get access to it. And sometimes the developer's doing it for even things like a sign or other things to get just access to a street, and it really doesn't. So in this case, you can see what we're trying to do. We're trying to provide a minimum of 28 foot on the pole. It's first time that again, that would be kind of similar to what we would require for a private street. So it would give you enough room to put in a street and official access. And we think that's really important in this case. It also limits the number of flagpole lots you can have.
But is someone going to actually put a flag up there?
It happens, yes, quite often.
So so if someone else wants to have a flagpole, they can still have it set back on their property? They don't have to have that little thing jutting out.
Oh yeah, somebody else. It depends how you have to work around that, and that's one of the things it makes it more difficult for some people to get good street frontage when they do it like this. But usually you'll see, and that's why we try to minimize it to, if you had a lot of these, it would be very difficult to get adequate street frontage. And you see these in situations, especially in areas like in the mountains, you'll see a lot of flagpole lots trying to come into and get to a location along.
How many do we have in Sioux Falls right now, do you think?
Yeah, I couldn't.
Like two?
Oh, no, it's more than that. Oh, yeah, it's quite a... I would say it's, I don't know if anybody has any guess, but it's closer to 100 or something.
Okay. And then back to that sidewalk thing that I know we talked about. the access to the bike trail along the side yard there that Councilor Neitzer talked about, that person's going to have the same mandates about snow removal?
Yes.
Okay, and then, so I'm thinking from where that thing starts, that you've got your sidewalk, right? And then that thing's going back to the bike trail. That could be quite a jot down there, couldn't it? Through your backyard.
Yeah, and I think you would want to make sure that you developed some that have typically good ADA compliance.
But so then that's going to, the developer, when he's doing this, is going to say, well, he's going to have to make a decision between which house is going to sit on, right?
And that's something that that any developer would work with the city on in plan review, trying to find what that best location would be.
Because that really is kind of putting a little bit of a hardship on that person who I would think that would maybe be a hindrance to selling that particular parcel, because you've got that maybe could be like much longer than a regular sidewalk.
Yeah. And that's why we tried to keep it to a minimum, at the same time knowing that if you start creating problems with connections between neighborhoods, that you're going to have problems too. So that's why we kept it to 1,320 feet.
And it looks like it doesn't have to be concrete. It can be like a blacktopped thing, right? That's the picture showed blacktop.
Yeah, I don't know if we specify in that one.
Not that, the other one looked like a blacktop on it.
That's quite
there. Looks like blacktop.
Yeah, I don't know if we specify. I think that we kept that open.
Okay.
Other questions for Sam? If not, I'd look for a motion on this item.
Move approval. Okay. Second.
Move to approve by Sale and seconded by Selberg. Councilors, further discussion? If not, a vote on this, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Next, item 37.
Item 37 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 3800 West Tickman Street from the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density District to the I-1 Light Industrial District number 9122-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0.
Jason Bieber, representing Planning and Development Services. This is an application, and the owner is Jim Dunham. It's located at 3800 West Tickman Street. It's roughly 2.61 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant is looking at constructing a future light warehouse development.
Okay. Is there anyone from the public here to speak on this item tonight? Councilors, questions for Jason on this? Councilor Starr?
Jason, the narrow strip, I'm looking at the color part of it. There's a brown strip and then a pink strip on the proposed zoning. Does that mean that there's two different zoning types right there? Do you see what I'm?
Yeah, depending on what the legal description that the applicant owned, that lot to the east might still have a little bit of RA3 on it. We'll have to look exactly what the ordinance reads on it, but.
Wouldn't we fix this all at the same time, or?
We can add that in there. And these maps, like I said, we just are drawing them pretty quick, so we might have just missed that little section to the east there.
Color it the right. Perfect. Thank you.
Other questions for Jason? Is there a motion on this item?
Move approval. Second.
Move to approve Selberg, seconded by Sale. Any further discussion? Vote on this, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky? Kylie?
Yes.
Neitzer?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
All right, that passes 7-0. Item 38.
Item 38 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 5702 South Marion Road from the C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar District to the RA2 Apartment Residential Moderate Density District, number 9062-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. The Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0.
The applicant here is James Burgett. The owner is Michael Bender. This is located south of West 57th Street and east of South Marion Road, just west of I-29. It's roughly 1.9 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is the applicant is looking at constructing a 3-story, 36-unit apartment building, an associated parking lot, and enclosed garages.
Is there anyone from the public here to speak on this item? Okay, councilors, questions for Jason on this. Councilor Neitzer.
Just, I think I'm in the right place, but to get me aligned, is that like the library bar just to the north there? Okay.
Exactly, yep.
Okay, thanks.
Other questions? All right, I'll look for a motion on this.
Move to approve.
Second, Brecky.
Move to approve Kylie, seconded by Brecky. Councilors, further discussion on this item? If not, a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 39.
Item 39 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at 133 North Trapp Avenue from the RT1 Single Family Residential Traditional District to the RT2 Townhome Residential Traditional District, number 9040-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval 5-0.
The applicant and owner here is Aaron Vanderwerf. It's located at 133 North Trapp Avenue. It's roughly 0.11 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is we're looking at matching the correct zoning with the current use. It's been a duplex for several years.
Thanks, Jason. Comments from the public on this item? Councilors, questions on this item?
Move approval, Nitzert.
Second, Brecky.
Move to approve, Neitzer, seconded by Brecky. Any discussion? If not, a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That item passes 7-0. Item 40.
Item 40 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, rezoning property located at the northwest corner of East 57th Street and South Dubuque Avenue from the LW Live Work and C2 Commercial Neighborhood and Streetcar Districts to the O Office District, number 8944-2018, and amending the official zoning map of the City of Sioux Falls. Planning Commission recommends approval.
The applicant and owner here is Rob Broin. It's located at the northwest corner of East 57th Street and South Dubuque Avenue. It's roughly 5.5 acres in size. The purpose of this rezoning is they're looking at continuing to construct the office development that's along East 57th Street.
Thanks, Jason. Anyone from the public wish to speak on this item? Councilors, questions for Mr. Bieber on this? I look for a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Move to approve by Kylie, seconded by Councilor Sale. Discussion? Seeing none, a vote on this, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley? Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 41.
Item 41 is a second reading, an ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota, authorizing the mayor to enter into a lease agreement for the City of Sioux Falls Raven Industries Incorporated parking facility between the City of Sioux Falls and Raven Industries Incorporated.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Don Kearney with Parks and Recreation. Appreciate the opportunity to present this again to you at second reading. I would like to acknowledge Beth Ebert from Raven Industries and Danny Brown, our Assistant City Attorney as well, who are actively involved in putting this lease together for us. By way of background, the city and Raven back in 2004 agreed to exchange some property. Raven received some property on the northern end of town, and the city received the property which used to be our former Parks and Recreation headquarters at 100 East 6th Street. And in May of 2004, the City Council approved that exchange agreement. Just for your reference purposes, the property in red at the top of the screen is the property that Raven received, and the triangular property on the corner of 6th and Phillips is the property that the city received. Some of the key conditions of that property exchange at that time was that the city would lease parking spaces, 75 parking spaces for 99 years, that the city would ultimately construct as part of the renovations of the property on that corner. One of the obligations of the city was to maintain the parking lot lighting and the utility costs associated with that lighting. And then the lease of the spaces was for a one-time payment of $1, and Raven being responsible for the care and the maintenance of the parking lot in its entirety during the term of that lease. The parties also agreed that they would enter into a lease agreement for 99 years for those 75 spaces that ultimately would be approved by the City Council. And in the process of working on some parking lot modifications associated with the Levitt Shell and needing to have some turning radiuses modified in that parking lot to allow the use of the loading dock on the backside of the shell, we found that we couldn't find a record of that lease actually being approved by the City Council earlier this year. So now fast forward 14 years from when the city originally exchanged that property with Raven, we would now like to get that lease in place so that Raven still has access to those 75 spaces. In the meantime, earlier this year, we entered into a one-year agreement just to get us buy us some time so that we could get the issue resolved. And tonight, obviously, the new lease is before you. The terms of the proposed lease is for 40 years, and it is the maximum allowed by law for parking purposes. Again, the same number of spaces would be made available to Raven. They would have access to those spaces Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. And the public use of parking outside of those hours would be permitted. That's the way it's always been since 2004 when we originally exchanged property. And that's really nice for us to be able to have that available for other events in the downtown, events in Falls Park West, parades, variety of activities going on downtown. And Raven's been really good about not only with this lot, but their other lots as well. The Raven is allowed to sublease as a result of this lease agreement as proposed. And it would again be under the same terms of Monday through Friday from 5 a.m. to 6 p.m. And then any fees charged by Raven for subleasing those space would not exceed the rate set by city ordinance. There are a couple of termination triggers in this lease agreement. If we were to sell the property, it would terminate, and if Raven ceases to use the property for parking, it would terminate as well. And just another shot of what that site used to look like prior to redevelopment and all the things that have happened in that area. It's been a great deal, and just kudos to Raven, not only with this arrangement that we have with them, but also the community support they provide for a variety of things that we do. And they've been a great community partner, a downtown anchor, and staff recommends approval.
Don, thanks for your work on winding this issue. Is there anyone from the public here to speak on this item?
Hello, Stephen Ciano again. If I saw this correctly, it's like really cheap. The city would be just like giving away the space for somebody to park their vehicles that are going to drive downtown from wherever to, I would imagine, to follow up on what was said earlier about the hybrid vehicles, pedal transportation. I would like to promote that option once again. As
Stephen,
well
I'd
as
ask that you
public
speak to this ordinance
transportation.
specifically, please. Do you have items specific to this ordinance?
That is it.
Okay, thank you. Counselors, any questions for Don, for Beth, or Danny on this topic? If not, I'd entertain a motion on this item.
Move to approve.
Second, Selberg.
Move to approve by Brecky and seconded by Selberg. Is there other discussion on this? Seeing none, I'd ask for a vote, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr?
Yes.
Staley?
Yes.
Brecky?
Yes.
Kylie?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 42.
Item 42 is a first reading to set a date of hearing and second reading for Monday, October 15th, 2018 at 7 p.m. An ordinance of the City of Sioux Falls, South Dakota declaring certain property of the City of Sioux Falls surplus and approving gratuitous transfer of real property.
I'm going to let Councilor Kylie speak to this item.
Thank you, Mayor. While it is my pleasure to bring before you tonight the first reading of gifting property for the purpose of a state veterans cemetery to the state of South Dakota, and so that I don't forget, second reading will be on Monday, October 15th. It's not next Tuesday, and it's not Tuesday of the week following, but it's Monday, October 15th. We'll have second reading on this item. And let me speak first of all about the need, why we are here and discussing this project, which we did have an informational on quite some time ago. South Dakota is one of 5 states in the nation that does not have a state veterans cemetery. The closest veterans cemetery is the National Cemetery in Sturgis, South Dakota, or Fort Snelling, Minnesota. Of the 72,704 veterans in South Dakota, 50,650 veterans live East River and to date are underserved in terms of burial options. Veterans are eligible for free burial benefits but rarely use them due to the distance away from their homes. To give you a little bit more background on this, and we'll go into this in even more detail during the second reading, but a state veteran cemetery is operated solely for the internment of service members who die on active duty, for veterans and for their spouses and for their eligible dependent children. The VA is authorized to pay a plot allowance of $749 to the state for expenses incurred in the burial of eligible veterans. And the Veterans Cemetery Grants Program assists state governments in providing grave sites in an effort to satisfy veterans' burial needs. And so this process really began over 2.5 years ago when Ken Tunison and Terry Paulson with the South Dakota Veterans Council approached Councilor Rolfing and myself to see if we could help them, assist them in identifying property that would be suitable for a cemetery. Well, we looked at, in addition to looking at public property, we also looked at private property, and we actually enlisted the services of Erica Beck before she was a city employee and working with a development company in assisting us on the private side. We eventually, with discussion with other public works personnel and individuals within the city, settled on property that is just north of the city of Sioux Falls, the Slip-Up Creek region. In fact, if you travel north on Interstate 229, do not turn left or right, west or east on Interstate 90, but continue north. It's just basically a mile further north of Interstate 90. Beautiful piece of property, by the way. We then met with Secretary of South Dakota Veterans Affairs, Larry Zimmerman. We met with Deputy Secretary of South Dakota Veterans Affairs, Aaron Pollard. We met with Director of Public Works, Mark Cotter, members of his staff, Danny Brown, Assistant City Attorney Danny Brown, and to talk about the needs and is this a suitable piece of property that we could make work. We decided that it was, so then we proceeded, and this city council, I am proud to say, really got this ball rolling when we approved a resolution on February 5th of this year to convey the 60-acre site to the state. And also we're here tonight to start the process of moving that ball across the goal line. The South Dakota Legislature and the governor signed Senate Bill 91. The bill authorized $600,000 to design the state veteran cemetery and apply for $6 million in federal funding from the VA Cemetery Administration in the Sioux Falls area. And the bill was led by Senator Jim Stalzer and Representative Larry Zickman, who is also here this evening. The state submitted pre-application to VA Cemetery Administration in April of this year. Site surveys and other preliminary work has been done by the state beginning in April through today. And then the City Council, as I mentioned previously, had an informational in June. And normally, once you have an informational, it's 1 to 2 weeks before you come to first reading. But we had issues getting all the parties together that needed to get together to reach terms with the gifting agreement. A lot of that was schedule related. But I'm here to tell you that the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed. The terms are acceptable to both parties. And now we are here for the City Council to make that final determination if the terms are acceptable to them. And so as I stated, the second hearing or second reading will be on Monday, October 15th. And even after passage, which I'm very hopeful that my colleagues will support this, and I do appreciate your support to date, there will still be steps to follow after that to make this a reality. But I'm going to turn it over for public input at this point because I know that a number of members are present that would like to speak on this issue.
Thank you, Councilor. Yeah, we will open it up to public input. I know we have, want to recognize a lot of our several veterans here. We have both Larry Zeeser here, Aaron Pollard, former Councilor Rolfing, a lot of people who have helped with this. So if there is anyone who would like to come and talk to this, this item, you may do so at this time.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor, City Council, Larry Zimmerman, Secretary of Veterans Affairs, South Dakota. As you've noted, there's been a lot of work done today. I left Rapid City early this morning. I've been to a tribal council headquarters. I've been to a county commission meeting. I'm meeting with you tonight and the governor tomorrow. All about taking care of veterans. And this, we hope, will be about taking care of the final resting place for 42,000 plus veterans of this great state. So all this work has been done. The pre-application as noted by Mr. Kiley. We also have sent the VA back to us and let us know you've got your pre-application and you have now been accepted and you are also #1 on the list for the VA for building this great cemetery if we have that opportunity. The second thing is we've hired an architect and engineer company already. We've done environmental studies, historical and cultural, and we are moving ahead with and hopefully have an opportunity to build here in Sioux Falls. Final resting place for up to 276 veterans or more and their families. And my deputy secretary noted the prices went up from $749 to $762, I believe. That'll be operational funds to help us. I'm excited to have this for our veterans. We've heard testimonies from veterans. We've heard testimonies from their families of the issues of having to go so far away to bury a family member. If we follow through with this, the VA will come in and give us a grant, and we will build this so these people can have a final resting place. I hope to make this one of the most pristine state veteran cemeteries around. And it will be an honor to help these veterans and those that have brought this to this point to help with that. Mr. Mayor, City Council, please consider this, and I look forward to working with you and the State Department of Veterans Affairs in the City of Sioux Falls. Thank you, veterans, for all you have done, and I look forward to helping with anything we can.
Thank you, Larry. Good evening.
Mr. Mayor, City Council members, my name is Terry Paulson. I'm president of the South Dakota Veterans Council. As Council Member Kiley had mentioned, we started this process two and a half years ago, and I remember taking the drive with Rex and Council Member Riley, and that was an experience. But I will say this, I'm here, and I know I'd given you an informational briefing back in, I believe it was February. I think it was a good meeting. We had the full support of the council at that time. Mr. Secretary, I appreciate your comments, and I have Gene Murphy representing the Disabled American Veterans, and Ken Tunison, he's my vice chair for the South Dakota Veterans Council with the Military Order of the Purple Heart here tonight. I just want to say thank you to the City of Sioux Falls. I sat with the county commissioners this morning. We briefed them up on where we were at, and it's been a long process. It's been over 20 years that we've tried to get this, and you know, Senate Bill 91 was passed. I know that was mentioned, and this is just another check the box moment, and we would fully love your support on this moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for being here. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, Commissioners. You know, I used to sit on a city commission many, many years ago, and you people look great sitting up there. You just look super. My name is Representative Larry Zickmund. I'm the representative from District 14, which is in the southeast part of the city. And of course, I have to be very careful what I say because I have two of my constituents that are on the city commission, so I have to watch what I say here. First of all, I would like to say thank you for and to the city commission for your support of this project. I don't think we realize or will realize for quite a while on the impact that this project is going to have, not only for our veterans and their families, but also for the city of Sioux Falls and the state of South Dakota. It's going to be a great project. I want to also say that, and this is kind of in honor also of not only myself, I was the sponsor in the House, and Representative Jim was the sponsor in the Senate. And those, Jim, the senator, and I call Ken Tunis and the two bulldogs that kind of took this and worked with everybody else. And Mr. Kiley, I want to thank you for your sponsorship and the leadership that you provided in trying to get this program started. The other thing is you have an excellent Veterans Committee, State Veterans Committee. This year when they came to us, the legislators, usually they have, I don't know, 10 to 20 bills that they want to see passed. And I've been on most of those, or sponsors of a lot of those, or co-sponsors of almost all those. And usually they have 10 to 20 bills. This time they had one bill, and that was to get this veteran cemetery through. I was very proud, very honored. I am a veteran. I served in the Air Force from 68 to 72. And so I keep telling my wife I just need to live long enough to maybe use the cemetery. I don't know what, and I hope that turns out. But it's going to be very, very good for our veterans and their families. We've already also been contacted by several families that want to move, you know, their people back to the cemetery here in Sioux Falls. So, like I said, I don't think that we realize the fact that this is one of the biggest projects and most important projects probably for the state of South Dakota and for this area. So thank you very much from us. I'm not going to say that it was all that easy, but let me tell you the vote in joint appropriations. These people have their people together. And in joint appropriations, there was a 17-0 vote to bring this out of joint appropriations, Senate Bill 91. And then there was another bill to help start an endowment with the South Dakota Community Foundation. That South Dakota Community Foundation is we have to raise $3 million by 2023 to help maintain that cemetery. So they've already started. Dollars have already been sent or committed, et cetera. And I do have some brochures. Each one of you have a copy of the brochure. But we have to raise the $3 million by 2023. I hope that we have a large enough goal, or can reach that big enough goal, that we can reach not only that 3, but we can continue to raise funds up to about around $10 million so we can come back to the taxpayers of South Dakota and say, we don't need your money. We have enough money in the endowment fund to help maintain that cemetery. So that's the intent. I know we're meeting tomorrow with the South Dakota Community Foundation to discuss some marketing, et cetera. There's been some money raised. I don't know if Terry wants to talk to her or tell you how much that is or whatever, but there's dollars already raised and there's more coming in. There's going to be another roughly 10,000 that I know of right now that's going to be coming in, et cetera. So the dollars will be there. The support is there. And I think that you people need to pat yourself on the back. Everybody just worked together very, very well. Yeah, it was over 20 years, and it should have been passed a long time ago. But everybody just worked together. Our communication from the legislature with the State Veterans Council was just absolutely outstanding. Outstanding. I mean, it was just, Ken and I were texting each other probably about almost every day. So, but you have a great Veterans Council. Those veterans out there are going to work. By the way, many people out of those 72,000 vets in the state of South Dakota, I do a lot for veterans in the legislature.
Mr. Mayor?
So,
Yes.
anyway.
Councilor Sale?
Time?
There's time.
Okay.
I was gonna let you get to a good pause there.
Politicians never gonna.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
So, just a question here. Are we going to allow everyone to go more than 3 minutes? That's our rule is, and I would make the motion to allow him to continue speaking because I think it's very important. But we have an ordinance that says you can only speak for 3 minutes. So do we need to?
It's the chair's discretion, so that's why I was letting him.
So are you going to let the rest of these people speak longer as well?
If they wish to, yes, I feel it's an important topic, so I want to hear everyone out on this.
I promise you I will not go over 3 minutes.
You're on.
Because I've wanted to have this here for 8 years with the lights and the bells and the
Got her
whistles.
done, man.
I tried to push the bell over there many, many times to stop people, but they wouldn't let me do it. So first of all, Rex Rolfing, former city councilor and citizen of Sioux Falls and South Dakota, and I thank you very much for letting me be here tonight. I'm kind of a has-been and a wannabe, I guess, from that standpoint, so we'll go from there. I want to thank you, first of all, and congratulate you on making the change you have in public input. I think it's important, it's good, and that's fantastic. As most of you know, I've been involved in the project of building the South Dakota Veterans Cemetery for some time now. As council chair 2.5 years ago, I went to Mayor Huther and put the idea before him of Sioux Falls donating land for the cemetery. The mayor had many questions, believe me. The foremost being that will this expenditure or this gift have any ongoing expenditures for the city? I told him no, that it would not. With the federal government's paying for the construction, the state ponying up the startup costs, which they will get back, and the new endowment fund that has gotten off to a great start, along with the ongoing burial payments from the federal government, there should be and will be no cost to the city of Sioux Falls. Important. Councilors and Mayor, this ordinance will gift a piece of land to be used as a final resting place for the men and women who in one way or another gave their lives for us spelled U.S. I was never part of the military, but most of you know that my son Rob was. He was killed in Iraq in 2007. He and all men and women who serve this great country deserve a cemetery in this eastern part of South Dakota. I would urge your support of this most important ordinance, gifting the cemetery land to the state of South Dakota. I thank you and the thousands of current and future veterans. Thank you also. Thank
Rex, thank you.
Stephen Ciano. I too have lost lost children and their mother. And there was it is relative to the lack of proper attention to my disability through the years. That was after my disability occurred in '78, and I was helpless to help them through a situation. Now I'm coming to you people. And what I do is for them. What I say is for them as well as for other veterans. I have not been welcomed by...
Stephen, do you want to speak to the gifting of the
Yes,
land?
by
Okay,
the
I need you to speak to this
and
item, please.
others. And what I see is, as Central Park in New York was donated by a private party to the city on a condition that it not be developed, I think that despite assurances of federal compensation or from wherever, there should be private land donated to such a purpose rather than take public land, because I see that as actually a theft from the public. And that's without asking the public, hey, maybe you can get private donations for the value of that, the assessed value of that property, and that could cover it. And then this could all be settled that way. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public input on this item? Councilors, is there a motion to set a date of hearing and second reading for Monday, October 15?
So moved.
Moved by Kylie and seconded by Brecky. Further discussion on this item? Councilor Brecky.
I would like to just say a few words. First of all, I am one of the newer council members, so the torch has been passed, to Kurt and I. We weren't here when this was started, but we have the privilege of being here the privilege to be here when it's critical. And I just have a few comments that I would like to make. Rex, that it's a privilege for me to sit at the DS and be able to make this decision. I feel like I'm sitting here in Rex's place tonight. He got it started, and his son and my daughter were in high school together. And my daughter's currently deployed over to Qatar in the Middle East. And when I told her about this, and I told her about this, and she said, "Oh, Mom, that's really neat." She said, "Please keep me informed. I'd like to know." She said, "That would give me great comfort to know that." So I want to applaud all of the people that have put all this effort into this. It's such a comforting feeling to our veterans currently. And when you have a horse in the race, as I do, it becomes a very emotional topic. And I can't thank you enough for what you've done to get it this far. And again, I see it as a great privilege and honor to be here tonight to be able to take it the rest of the way.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Selberg.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, just a welcome to all those who are here in attendance for this particular item. Thanks for your efforts, but more importantly, thank you for your service to our country. And for those of you who might have had to ride with the Councilor Rolfing somewhere on this project, you have my admiration for your bravery as well. Welcome back, Councilor Rolfing, and thank you for all your efforts in this project. You, along with Councilor Kiley, your efforts and dedication to this. I know the road's been a little bit longer than you expected, but you're just about there. So it was. I looked at it with a lot of admiration as you went step by step with this. It's nice to see all of you kind of get towards the end of the road. So taking care of our veterans, what a wonderful project. Nothing better than that. Congratulations to all of you.
Thanks, Councilor. Councilor Staley.
I have a question for anyone involved with the logistics of the cemetery. Would there ever be a chance, you mentioned 250 lots, would that ever be able to be expanded upon if needed?
Mr. Mayor, Councilwoman, the 250, we estimate 276 per year to be buried there.
So, because you said 250 lots, so what does that, I heard 250.
There's around 276 projected to be buried there per year.
Oh, per year. So what's the maximum capacity?
And we will put in and begin this with over 900 crypts will be in the ground when we start this and do our ribbon cutting.
Okay.
And there's a 60-acre gift and 12 to 15 acres will be set up and plotted and ready to go, and then that's phase one, and then you'll have phase 2, 3, and 4.
So it continues to expand.
It's set up for many, many, many decades.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then I just wanted to say that I wasn't aware of this energy until last spring. I was doing my little Staley report, and I talked to my representative, Larry Zickman, who is just such a wonderful, warm person. And I said, hey, Larry, what's going on in your neck of the woods? And he started to tell me about this cemetery. First thing I had heard about it. So I let him put a little article in my little newspaper telling people about that. And I want to say also thank you to Rex Rolfing for I know you're very committed to this, and Councilor Kiley, and putting this together. I know you've worked hard. You've collaborated with our state cohorts over here. And so I say bravo on that. I certainly am excited about this, and am happy to promote it within our community. I think this is a win-win for all involved.
Thank you, Councilor. Any other discussion? There's a motion on the table. Councilor Kiley.
Just very briefly, as it's been demonstrated this evening, this has really been a collaborative effort. I'm fortunate enough to still remain on the council, but Councilor Rolfing carried much of this water up until the past 5 months. And then everybody that's present here today did their fair share. And it's safe to say that if we hadn't all gotten together and agreed to work on this project, we would not be here this evening. And Councilor Selberg, just to expand a little bit on your comments regarding Councilor Rolfing, what was alluded to is if you've ever ridden with Councilor Rolfing, it's always it's always a thrill to be a passenger in his vehicle. And this was brought up when Jim David, our operations manager, and I were attending a South Dakota Veterans Council, and it was commented then at that time, wow, that was quite the trip up to this property. And I cautioned them that if you ride with them, with Councilor Rolfing too often, you may be in need of the cemetery before it's actually ready for you. So anyway, Councilor Rolfing, thank you very much. Glad that you are here. Glad that I could give you that little poke. And thank you, councilors, for your support.
I think that was a compliment, Rex, in there somewhere. There's a motion on the table to set this date and second hearing. Can I get a roll call vote on this, please?
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr? Yes. Staley? Yes. Brecky?
Yes.
Kiley?
Yes.
Neitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That passes 7-0. Item 43.
Item 43 is a resolution including certain contiguous territory within the corporate limits of the city of Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Annexation 8958, 2018, Pump Station 243 and I-29, I-90 right away.
Mayor, Council, Albert Schmidt, City of Sioux Falls Planning Office. This is a petition by the City of Sioux Falls to annex in mostly right away, approximately 165 acres, with a small addition there of Tract 1, which is a pump station for the industrial park just to the north. The reason for the annexation of this area is mainly to clean up city limits, to help out with emergency response in the area, brought forth by the fire department. Myself and fire staff are present to answer any questions you may have on this annexation petition.
Thanks, Albert. Is anyone from the public here to speak on this item? All right. If not, questions from the council. Councilor Neitzert.
So just for my education purposes, how does annexing land assist in fire, I guess?
We're looking at annexing the right-of-way mainly. And so when you look at annexing the right-of-way, then it becomes our primary response, opposed to in the county, then it's the county response in the townships. So 911 dispatch has to then discern who's the primary response. So the same thing we deal with annexations with other ones too. You go, are you in the county or in the city? And then when you call 911, you call one number, and then they discern who's the primary call, and then who has to call in for backup. So this, we own, or we have the rights on I-29 just north of this. So you have a gap in there between 60th Street and the Industrial Park, where technically if you got in a car accident right there, it's not Sioux Falls coming in. So this just kind of cleans that up.
Clarified dispatching and
Correct.
Consistency. Okay, makes sense.
Other questions on this item? If not, I'd look for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Move to approve Brecky, seconded by Selberg. Any further discussion? Seeing none, a vote on this, please.
Councilmember Sale?
Yes.
Starr? Yes. Staley?
Yes.
Brecky? Yes. Riley?
Yes.
Nitzert?
Yes.
Selberg?
Yes.
That's passed 7-0. Item 44.
Item 44 is a report of the September 17, 2018 notice of transfer of appropriations within major organizational units.
Councilors, is there any new business? Seeing none, is there a motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn, Star.
Second.
Move to adjourn, Star, seconded by Sale. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
No. That motion is carried. The meeting is adjourned. Scouts, I told you, 90 minutes max. We're at 88. So I'm a man of my word. You're right. You're right.